Deep beneath the jagged cliffs of the planet Vera, a hidden city thrived in silence. The city was built into massive underground caverns with winding tunnels, glowing crystals for light, and walls covered in smooth stone carvings. The humanoids who lived there were small, clever, and quick. They had learned long ago to stay hidden from outsiders. Using shadows and secret paths to protect themselves, the city was safe, or so they believed. Leela, a young humanoid scout, moved quietly along the upper tunnels, her eyes sharp and alert. She had spent most of her life exploring the edges of the city, learning its secrets and studying the skies above. Today, something felt different. The air seemed heavier, and the usual hum of the crystal light sounded sharper, almost tense. Her instincts told her that danger was near. As she climbed to the highest observation point, she noticed faint flickering lights moving above the cliffs. They were not stars, and they did not belong to any ship she had ever seen. Leela frowned, her heart beating faster. "What are they?" she whispered to herself. The lights moved slowly but deliberately, like hunters searching for prey. Without wasting a moment, she ran to the council chamber. The council was a group of elders who guided the city. They were wise and cautious, always careful about taking action too quickly. Lila's footsteps echoed in the tunnels, carrying a sense of urgency. When she reached the chamber, she found the elders sitting around a circular table, their faces calm but tired. "Leela," said Elder Rena, her voice calm but gentle, "why are you here in such a hurry?" Leela took a deep breath and pointed toward the tunnel entrance. "I saw lights above the cliffs. They are not ours. Something is coming, and it is moving very carefully. We are not safe." The elders exchanged glances. Elder Moreau, who was responsible for the city's defenses, leaned forward. "Lights in the sky are not unusual," he said slowly. "We have sensors. They usually detect storms, meteor showers, or friendly travelers." "Did your eyes deceive you?" "I don't think so," Leela said firmly. "These lights are precise. They move like someone is searching for us. I've seen ships before, but these are different. They are larger, and their pattern is not natural. We need to investigate." The council paused. The older humanoids seemed hesitant. They had spent decades believing that their city was untouchable. Now, one young scout was telling them that their hidden home might be in danger. Finally, Elder Rena nodded. "You may be right, Leela. We will send a small team to the outer cliffs to observe. You will lead them." Lila's heart leapt. She felt proud but nervous. Leading a team outside the safe tunnels had always been risky. The cliffs were steep, and the outer lands were unknown. Yet, she also knew this was important. If she failed to discover what was coming, the entire city could be in danger. Within minutes, a group of humanoids joined Leela. Each one carried small packs filled with tools, crystal lanterns, and communication devices. They moved silently, knowing that any noise could give away their position. Leela guided them through secret doors and narrow paths, leading them closer to the cliffs where the lights had appeared. When they reached the observation point, Lila's eyes widened. The lights above the cliffs had grown brighter. She crouched behind a rock formation, signaling her team to stay quiet. Slowly, she studied the shapes moving in the sky. The ships were large, dark, and humanoid-like, with arms and legs that glowed faintly. Their movements were smooth and controlled. Leela realized these were not ordinary travelers or traders. These were invaders. The team held their breath. None of them had ever seen such ships or beings before. Leela felt a cold wave of fear, but she pushed it aside. Fear could not guide them now. Caution and intelligence would. She began to whisper instructions. "Stay hidden. Do not make noise. Observe their pattern. Count their number. We must know what we face before returning." Hours passed as they watched the ships move silently over the cliffs. Leela noticed that they scanned the tunnels below, their glowing arms sending beams that could detect hidden life. She felt a shiver run down her spine. The council was right to be cautious. But now caution alone was not enough. Action was needed, and she would be the first to take it. Finally, as the ships moved away slightly, Leela led her team back to the hidden tunnels. Her mind raced with questions. Who were these invaders? Why were they searching for the city? And most importantly, how could a small hidden group of humanoids survive against such advanced beings? As they returned to the council chamber, Leela knew one thing clearly: the peace of their hidden city was over. Something large and dangerous had arrived, and the shadows that had kept them safe might not be enough this time. The survival of the city would depend on courage, cleverness, and unity, and Leela, a young scout who once only explored for curiosity, would now lead them in facing the unknown. The hidden city, quiet for so long, held its breath in anticipation. Darkness had always been its friend, but soon it would also become its greatest challenge. The council chamber was quiet except for the soft hum of the crystal lights. Leela stood before the elders, her heart still racing from the observation. She could see the worry on their faces, even if they tried to remain calm. Elder Rena folded her hands and looked directly at Leela. "You have seen something unusual, Leela," Rena said. "We trust your judgment. Tell us everything." Leela described what she had seen in detail: the large humanoid-like ships, the glowing beams scanning, the tunnels, and the strange patterns of movement. She explained how precise the invaders seemed, moving as if they knew exactly what they were looking for. Elder Moreau rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "If they are searching, they may be after something specific," he said. "Perhaps they know of our city, or perhaps they have detected something unusual about our energy crystals. Either way, we must prepare." Leela felt a knot of fear in her stomach. She had hoped the elders would dismiss her warning, but instead, they were taking it seriously. She knew that meant the danger was real. The council decided to send a small investigation team to the outer tunnels and cliffs. Their goal was to gather information without being noticed. Leela volunteered immediately, along with 3 other skilled scouts: Relo, a quiet but clever tracker; Mara, a navigator who knew every tunnel in the city; and Juno, a strong and cautious defender. Together, they would try to understand the threat before it reached the city. Before leaving, Elder Rena gave them clear instructions. "Do not confront them. Do not take risks that could reveal our location. Our priority is information. The safety of the city comes first." The team nodded and left through a hidden tunnel that led to the outer cliffs. The path was narrow and dark, lit only by small crystals embedded in the walls. Leela led carefully, her eyes scanning every shadow. The closer they got to the cliffs, the heavier the air felt. It was as if the planet itself sensed the coming danger. When they reached a high observation point, they crouched behind large rock formations. The cliff edge offered a wide view of the sky and the surrounding land. Leela motioned for silence and watched the horizon. Soon, the lights appeared again. The ships moved slowly, methodically scanning the area. Leela's pulse quickened. "They are still searching," she whispered. "They haven't found us yet. Watch how they move. Notice the gaps between their scans. We can learn from this." Relo took careful notes, drawing patterns in the dirt with a small stick. "Their search is organized," he said. "They move in groups, then pause, then move again. They seem to coordinate through signals we cannot see." Mara pointed to one of the beams that moved too quickly for the others. "Look at that one. It is scanning deeper tunnels. Maybe they know where some of our hidden paths are." Juno growled softly. "If they are that smart, we may not have long before they find us. We should return soon and warn the council." Leela considered the suggestion, but shook her head. "We need more information. We need to know what we are dealing with. We cannot wait until they reach the city." The team watched for hours, noting the positions of the ships, their movements, and the speed of their scanning beams. Leela realized that the invaders were not only searching for life. They were searching for something very specific. Perhaps it was an object, perhaps energy, or perhaps knowledge. As the sun began to rise, the ships moved away from the cliffs for a time. The team used the pause to return to the city quickly, but cautiously. Leela's mind was racing. She knew they had to share their findings immediately. When they reached the council chamber, the elders listened carefully to the team's report. They mapped the ship's movements on a holographic display and discussed the possible intentions of the invaders. Every elder could see the urgency, and for the first time, The council spoke in a way that hinted at fear. Elder Rena finally spoke. We must consider the possibility that our hidden city may not remain hidden for long. If they are intelligent, they may learn our tunnels, our paths, and our defenses. We must prepare for all outcomes. Leela felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She had always been a scout, trained to observe and report. Now, her observations were guiding the survival of her people. She could not afford to hesitate. Moreau added, "We will begin preparations for a possible evacuation. It will be difficult, but it is better to act early than wait until it is too late. Leela, you will help organize the scouts and lead the outer patrols. Your knowledge of the cliffs and tunnels is unmatched." Leela nodded, feeling both pride and anxiety. The hidden city had been peaceful for generations. Now, that peace was threatened by beings far stronger and smarter than they had ever faced. She knew that courage alone would not be enough. They would need planning, strategy, and every bit of intelligence the humanoids could gather. As the council discussed plans late into the day, Leela stepped outside to look at the cliffs again. The sunlight fell on the rocky edges, but the shadows still lingered in the tunnels below. She could feel the tension in the air. The lights might not return immediately, but she knew the intruders would come back, and when they did, the city had to be ready. For the first time, Leela realized that the safety of her entire home rested in the actions of a few brave scouts, and she would not fail them. The city had never felt so tense, even in the quiet tunnels. Whispers and hurried steps echoed as the humanoids prepared for what they sensed was coming. Leela patrolled the upper tunnels with her team, watching every shadow, every movement, and every sound. Her mind replayed the patterns of the intruders' ships from the day before. They had learned quickly, and now the risk was closer than ever. At midday, the sky above the cliffs darkened with shapes that blotted out the sunlight. Leela's stomach tightened. The intruders had returned. This time, they came in greater numbers, their dark ships gliding silently, almost like predators hunting prey. The humanoids watching from the cliffside could see that the ships were larger and stronger than they had imagined. Each one had long arms tipped with glowing tools that scanned the land below. "They are here." Leela whispered to her team, "Stay calm. Do not reveal yourselves. Watch carefully." The humanoids hid among rocks and low walls, keeping silent, as the intruders began scanning the cliffs with their glowing beams. The light swept over the hidden entrances to the tunnels, probing for any sign of life. Leela's heart raced, but she reminded herself to stay focused. One wrong move could expose the city. The intruders moved in coordinated groups. Their movements were precise and synchronized. Leela noticed one ship pausing at a particular cliff edge, sending a sharp light into a narrow crevice. She realized immediately that they were testing the tunnels, trying to find an entrance. Rilo clenched his fists. "They know more than we expected. They are learning quickly." Mara added quietly, "We need to create distractions. They cannot find us all at once. We must be clever." Leela nodded. "We can use false paths. Some tunnels are hidden. Unused, we can lead them into dead ends while the city remains safe." The team moved quickly, placing small holographic markers and reflective crystals to confuse the intruders' scanners. Leela had learned these tricks from the elders, techniques used for generations to protect the city. They worked fast, but every second felt critical. As the humanoids set up the traps, one of the intruder ships descended closer to the cliff, its glowing arms moving through the air like searching fingers. A sharp beam illuminated part of the tunnel entrance, revealing a faint shimmer of light from one of their crystals. Leela froze. "Move," she shouted softly. The team dove behind a rock as the beam swept past them, narrowly missing. The intruders paused, recalibrating their sensors. They had noticed something, but they had not fully detected the humanoids. Juno hissed, "They are clever, but we are smarter. We know these tunnels better than they do. Every twist, every turn is ours." Lila's mind raced. They could not fight directly. The intruders were stronger, faster, and had technology the humanoids had never seen before. The only way to survive was to stay hidden, confuse the invaders, and protect the city at all costs. Hours passed as the intruders explored, their beams sweeping back and forth, their ships hovering like dark birds over the cliffs. Leela and her team stayed in the shadows, carefully moving from point to point, adjusting their tricks to keep the invaders off balance. Finally, the intruders began to pull back slightly, leaving some scanning drones behind to watch the cliffs. Leela watched them with narrowed eyes. The drones were small, but fast and precise. They could detect even the slightest movement. "We cannot let them stay too long," Leela whispered. "They will figure out all the tricks if we give them time. We need to report back to the council and prepare for the worst." The team retraced their steps carefully, avoiding the scanning beams, avoiding even the smallest traces of their presence. When they reached the safety of the hidden tunnels, a wave of relief washed over them. The city below remained hidden, untouched, and unknown to the intruders above. Leela reported immediately to the council. The elders studied the observations, noting the behavior and technology of the intruders. Elder Rena looked at Leela with serious eyes. "They are learning faster than we thought," she said. "We have some time, but not much. The hidden city will not remain hidden forever. We must begin serious preparations for defense and evacuation." Leela nodded. She knew the intruders would return, stronger and more determined. The city's safety depended on every small detail, every clever trick, and every brave humanoid willing to act. The shadows had protected them so far, but the coming days would test their intelligence and courage more than ever before. Outside, the sky was quiet once more, but the shapes of the ships lingered in Lila's mind. She understood that the intruders were not simply explorers, they were hunters, and the hidden city was their prize. Leela turned to her team. "We cannot panic," she said firmly. "We have knowledge, we have tricks, and we have courage. That is our strength. The intruders may be strong, but we are clever, and we will survive. The city will survive." The team nodded, their resolve firm. The shadows had always been their friends, but soon they would be their battlefield. And Leela, young scout turned leader, would guide them through it. The council chamber was alive with activity. Hushed voices and the soft hum of crystal lights filled the air as the elders and scouts discussed what needed to be done. Leela stood at the center, her eyes sharp and focused. The intruders were not gone forever, and the city could not wait if the invaders returned stronger. Every hidden path and tunnel could be discovered. Elder Rena spoke first, her voice calm but firm. "We cannot fight them directly. Our strength lies in knowledge, speed, and the secrets of our city. We must prepare for evacuation. Every humanoid must be ready to leave quickly and safely." Leela felt a surge of determination. Evacuation was dangerous, but it was the only way to protect the people. She quickly began outlining a plan. "We have underground tunnels that few know about. Some lead to hidden valleys and distant cliffs. We can guide everyone through them. It will be difficult, but it is possible." Relo stepped forward. "We can create diversions in the tunnels, false doors, and hidden passages. The intruders will be delayed if they follow us. That will give the city time to move safely." Mara added, "We should prioritize the young, the elderly, and those who cannot move quickly. Scouts and defenders will lead the way, and the rest will follow. Timing is everything. If we are organized, we can make it work." Juno, ever cautious, frowned. "It will not be easy. The intruders have scanning technology. If even one group is detected, the entire city could be at risk. We must be precise, disciplined, and silent." Leela nodded. "We will assign teams for every tunnel. Each team will know their path, the hidden exits, and the traps. Scouts will guide. Defenders will protect, and we will move as quickly as possible. The city will survive if everyone works together." Preparations began immediately. Scouts mapped every tunnel, checking for weaknesses and hidden doors. Defenders reinforced walls where the intruders' beams could detect movement. Leela helped guide the teams, showing shortcuts and secret paths that even some elders had forgotten. Humanoids gathered supplies, food packs, water crystals, and tools. Every item was small and portable, chosen to allow fast travel. Families moved quietly, helping children and the elderly through the tunnels. The city had never been so busy, yet every action was careful and controlled. Leela paused to watch a group of children carrying small packs. She knelt beside one child, a boy named Tilo, who looked nervous. "Are you ready?" she asked softly. Tilo nodded, holding his pack tightly. "I want to help," he said. Leela smiled, patting his shoulder. "Your courage will help everyone. Stay close and follow the guides. You will be safe." As night fell, the shadows of the city seemed to stretch and move, as if aware of the approaching danger. The intruders could return at any moment, and the city had to be ready. Leela gathered the team leaders for a final briefing. "Remember," she said firmly, "the tunnels are our advantage. Move silently, help each other, and follow the paths exactly. If one person is delayed, it could affect everyone. Stay calm, stay alert, and trust each other. We can do this," Elder Rena added. "The city has survived for generations because of cleverness and courage. Today, we will prove that again. Every one of you has a role. Every choice matters. We will not fail." When the first warning signals came, a soft hum from the sensors above the teams moved into position. Scouts led families through hidden doors, guiding them past tunnels that had been carefully disguised. Defenders carried small weapons, ready to delay any intruder drones that might follow. Leela moved with the first group, her senses alert. Every sound, every shadow, every movement was a signal. She used hand signs to guide, keeping voices silent. Behind her, the city stirred with cautious energy, every humanoid understanding the importance of the moment. As they advanced through the tunnels, Leela checked each hidden door and diversion. False passages led nowhere, confusing any potential followers. Clever traps made simple noise or light to mislead the intruders, giving the fleeing humanoids more time. Hours passed, but the teams moved efficiently. Children were safe, elders were protected, and even the slowest travelers managed to keep pace. Leela glanced at the maps etched in her memory, ensuring that every group remained on the correct path. Finally, they reached a large underground cavern that served as the main junction before exiting to the distant hidden valley. Here, families paused briefly, catching their breath, and Leela took a moment to observe. The city they loved so dearly was safe, at least for now, but she knew the intruders were not defeated. They were learning, adapting, and might return with greater force. The shadows that had protected the city so far had done their job, but soon, Leela realized, the shadows would also become the battlefield. She turned to the gathered humanoids, her voice low but steady. "We have done well so far. Keep moving. Stay alert and help each other. The city is alive because of each of you. Together, we will survive." As the humanoids prepared to continue into the unknown tunnels and hidden valleys, Leela felt a deep sense of responsibility. The journey ahead would be long and dangerous, but with courage, intelligence, and unity, the hidden city could escape the intruder's grasp. And so, under the protective darkness of the tunnels, the humanoids began their great escape, led by a young scout whose courage had become the lifeline of an entire civilization. The tunnels were quiet except for the soft footsteps of the fleeing humanoids. Leela led the first group through narrow passages, careful not to make any noise that could reveal their location. Every twist and turn of the tunnels had been planned, every hidden door and diversion memorized, yet the shadows themselves seemed alive, shifting and stretching as if aware of the danger following them. Behind them, the intruders had left hunting drones. Small, fast machines with glowing eyes and precise scanners moved through the tunnels, searching for signs of life. The drones were relentless, and the humanoids knew that one mistake could expose their entire group. Rilo whispered to Leela, "They are close. I can sense them near the last junction." Leela nodded. "We must use the traps and diversions, lead them into the false tunnels, confuse them, slow them down." As they moved, the first diversion came into play. A hidden door swung open, leading to a dead-end tunnel. A small device emitted soft lights and sounds, mimicking the presence of humanoids. One drone entered the trap, scanning and moving in circles. Giving the real group time to pass safely, Mare guided the slower travelers, ensuring no one was left behind. Children clung to their parents, and elders moved carefully, supported by strong arms. Leela glanced back at Juno, who was keeping watch, ready to block any pursuers if necessary. The tunnels seemed endless, twisting deeper into the earth. Shadows from the crystal lights flickered on the walls, creating illusions that hid the fleeing humanoids. Leela used every secret path she knew, turning sharp corners and crossing narrow bridges. Built high above cavern floors, the drones followed, but each diversion forced them to pause, recalibrate, and search again. Suddenly, one of the tunnels collapsed slightly ahead, a trap set by the defenders. Dust and stones fell, blocking the path behind them. Leela heard the faint whir of a drone. Being delayed. Good, she whispered. Every second counts. Despite the careful planning, tension grew. The drones were adapting, learning the patterns of the tunnels, and moving faster than before. Leela knew that if the intruders themselves followed, the humanoids would face direct danger. She had to keep them safe at all costs. Hours passed in silence, broken only by the occasional sound of stones shifting or the soft murmur of those walking ahead. Leela led the group to a chamber she had discovered years ago, hidden behind a waterfall of crystals. It was safe, wide enough to allow everyone to rest briefly, and completely undetectable from above. Relo checked the scanners. The drones are still behind, but they are closing in. We cannot stop for long. Leela nodded. We will rest for a few minutes, then continue. Keep moving together. Do not panic. Help each other if anyone falls behind. During the pause, the humanoids ate quickly from their supplies. Leela spoke softly to calm them. We have done well. The intruders have not found us. Our shadows are helping us. Every trick, every secret path is keeping the city safe. Juno pointed toward a narrow tunnel that led deeper into the network. We must go. The drones will regroup soon. They are learning. The group moved again, deeper into the twisting tunnels. This section was dangerous, with steep drops and narrow ledges. Leela guided them carefully, using hand signals and gentle pushes to keep everyone steady. The shadows of the tunnels seemed thicker here, hiding the humanoids from the drones that might come near. A sudden sound made Leela freeze. She signaled everyone to stop. The faint hum of a drone passed above a ledge, moving quickly and silently. The group held their breath as it glided past, unaware of their position. When the drone disappeared, Leela motioned for them to continue. Time seemed to stretch endlessly. The tunnels tested every skill, every instinct, and every ounce of courage the humanoids possessed. Yet, step by step, they moved forward. Every diversion worked, every trap slowed the hunters, and every shadow protected them from discovery. Finally, they reached a cavern that led to a hidden exit. A soft breeze hinted at the valley beyond, a place safe for now, far from the intruders' reach. Leela glanced back at the tunnels, feeling pride in every person who had followed her guidance. The escape was not over, but this first part of the journey had been successful. She gathered her team. We are not safe yet, she said, voice low but firm. The intruders may return, stronger and smarter. But today, we survived. The shadows protected us, and our courage guided us. Together, we will continue. Together, we will keep the city alive. As the humanoids prepared to step into the valley, the faint hum of distant drones reminded them that the threat was still out there. The intruders had not given up, and the shadows that had once been their safe home were now the stage for a deadly game of pursuit. But Leela knew one thing: cleverness, courage, and unity would always give the humanoids an advantage. The escape had begun, and they would not fail. The hidden valley stretched ahead like a promise of safety, yet the journey was far from over. Leela led the humanoids carefully through narrow passages that opened into the wide space of the valley. Crystal trees shimmered faintly in the light, and soft streams ran along the ground. It was beautiful, peaceful. And yet Leela knew the intruders were not far behind. Suddenly, a distant hum echoed through the valley. Leela froze. They are coming, she whispered. The hunting drones had followed closer than expected. Small groups of humanoids clustered together, their eyes wide with fear. And children clung tightly to parents. Lila's heart pounded. "We must move faster," she said. Though she knew that speed alone would not save them, some of the older humanoids and the slowest travelers could not keep pace. She realized that the only way to save the majority was to slow the pursuers. Even if it meant leaving the rear unprotected for a short time, Juno stepped forward, his face grim. "We will hold them off," he said. "The drones cannot follow. Everyone at once. We will protect the rear and give the others time." Lila hesitated for a moment, but she knew he was right. "Then we must do it together," she said. "We cannot waste time. Everyone else must keep moving. Rilo, guide the rear group. Mara, lead the rest toward the valley. I will stay with the defenders." The humanoids split into two groups. One moved steadily toward the center of the valley, following the hidden paths Lila had marked. The other stayed behind with Lila and the defenders. Dust rose from the ground as they prepared to confront the incoming drones. The first drone appeared, sleek and fast, its glowing eyes scanning the area. Lila and Juno had set up traps along the path, crystal shards that could redirect light, and small barriers that would confuse sensors. When the drone entered the trap, it became entangled in the illusions, and the humanoids used the moment to push it back with small energy pulses. Another drone appeared, and then another. The defenders worked tirelessly, guiding them into traps and forcing them to waste time recalibrating. Lila could see the strain on their faces, but no one faltered. They knew the lives of the entire city depended on their actions. Minutes felt like hours. The drones adapted quickly, learning the patterns of the traps and moving faster than before. Lila's mind raced as she calculated every move. She had to ensure that the rear group survived long enough to reach safety. Every second counted. A sudden collapse of part of the tunnel behind them created a natural barrier. Dust and rocks tumbled down, slowing the drone's pursuit. Lila and Juno used the opportunity to reposition, creating new traps and redirecting the remaining machines into false passages. The defenders moved with precision, each step a carefully measured act of courage. Despite their efforts, some drones managed to follow. Lila saw one machine approaching an elder humanoid who was struggling to climb a narrow ledge. Without thinking, she ran forward and used a small energy pulse to push the drone back. The elder reached the ledge safely, and Lila felt a surge of relief, quickly followed by the knowledge that danger was still close. Hours passed, but finally, the rear group completed their mission. The drones had been slowed, trapped, and redirected, giving the main group enough time to reach the safety of the hidden valley. Exhausted but determined, Lila and the defenders finally moved toward the valley themselves. When they reached the open area, the sight of their people safe brought a mixture of relief and pride. Families hugged, children laughed softly, and elders smiled. Knowing that the cleverness and bravery of the defenders had saved them, Lila looked around, noticing the weariness on every face. Their courage had been tested, and they had survived. Elder Rena approached, her eyes full of gratitude. "You all have done something extraordinary," she said. "The city is alive because of your sacrifice. You have shown courage, wisdom, and unity today. The shadows were not just protection, they were your strength." Lila looked back toward the tunnels. She knew that some had been left behind to hold off the drones longer, risking themselves for the survival of the many. She felt a deep sense of respect and responsibility. The journey was not yet complete, but the first and most dangerous part of their escape had succeeded. Juno stepped beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "We did what we had to do," he said quietly. "Those who stayed behind bought us time. They acted with bravery. We must honor that by continuing together." Lila nodded, feeling the weight of leadership and the bond of her people. The hidden valley was safe for now, but the intruders had not given up. Their pursuit would continue, and the humanoids would need to remain clever, united, and courageous. As the group settled briefly to recover, Lila gazed at the valley ahead. Crystal trees sparkled softly in the evening light, streams glimmered, and the wind carried a faint sense of hope. They had survived the first true test, and the journey toward complete safety had only just begun. In the hearts of the humanoids, a quiet determination grew. They had escaped the shadows of immediate danger, but they knew that their courage, intelligence, and unity would be needed again. Leela, standing at the center of the group, knew one thing clearly: the city would live, and they would face the coming trials together. The hidden valley stretched ahead, calm and quiet after the chaos of the tunnels. The humanoids moved slowly, catching their breath and allowing the children and elders to recover. Crystal trees shimmered softly in the sunlight, and small streams ran along the valley floor. It was a place untouched by intruders, peaceful and safe for the first time in hours. Leela led the last group to the edge of the valley. Her eyes scanned the cliffs and tunnels, making sure no drones or hidden enemies remained. The valley was far from the city, but it offered safety and room to rest. The survivors gathered together, hugging each other, sharing smiles and tears. After the long, tense escape, the relief was almost overwhelming. Elder Rena stepped forward, her face calm but proud. We have survived because of our courage, intelligence, and unity. Today, we face danger unlike any before, and yet we are here. This valley will be our refuge, our new beginning. Leela felt a surge of pride. She had been a young scout, trained only to observe and report. Now she had guided her people through danger, showing leadership and determination. The escape had been difficult, and some had sacrificed themselves to protect the many, but the majority had survived. That was all that mattered. Rilo, Mara, and Juno joined her. We did it, Rilo said quietly. The drones are gone. The intruders will have to search harder to find us now. Mara smiled, wiping sweat from her brow. We may be far from the hidden city, but we are alive. We can rebuild, and we can be stronger than before. Juno nodded. Those who sacrificed themselves gave us this chance. We cannot forget them. They showed us what courage truly means. Leela looked at the valley around them. It was beautiful, safe, and full of possibilities. She knew the humanoids would need to adapt to this new home, but she also knew that their cleverness, courage, and unity would allow them to thrive. They had survived the shadows and the intruders, and now they could start anew. The council gathered. The people in the center of the valley, families huddled together, children clinging to parents, and elders standing with quiet pride. Leela addressed the group. We have escaped the tunnels and the dangers that followed us. The intruders will not find us here easily, but we must stay vigilant, work together, and remember the lessons of this journey. Our city may have changed, but our strength remains. Together, we are unstoppable. The humanoids listened in silence, understanding the importance of unity. Their hidden city had been a place of safety, but this valley was now their new home. They would rebuild, strengthen their defenses, and use every skill they had learned to survive and thrive. Over the next few days, the humanoids began constructing shelters among the crystal trees and along the streams. Scouts explored the surrounding valleys, mapping hidden paths and secret entrances in case the intruders returned. Defenders trained quietly, improving their skills with small devices and traps to ensure safety. Leela helped guide the work, using her knowledge of the tunnels and city to make the valley a strong and secure refuge. Children ran along the streams, laughing and playing, their voices echoing softly. Elders shared stories of the old city, teaching the young ones how to be clever and cautious. The community began to bond, stronger than before, shaped by the shared struggle and survival. Leela often stood at the edge of the valley, looking toward the cliffs they had escaped. She thought of the shadows that had hidden them, the traps that had slowed the drones, and the bravery of those who had risked their lives. She felt gratitude and respect for every member of the city. Their cleverness, courage, and unity had saved them all. Elder Rena approached her quietly. You led them well, Leela. The city lives because of you and your team. But remember, leadership is not just about guiding, it is about inspiring courage, teaching intelligence, and building trust. You have done all of this. Leela smiled softly. I only followed the lessons I learned here. The city's strength is in all of us, not just one person. Together, we survived. Together, we will thrive. As the sun set over the valley, its golden light reflecting off crystal trees and sparkling streams, the humanoids gathered for their first peaceful night in their new home. The danger of the intruders was still real, but they had survived the shadows, outsmarted the hunters, and reached safety. In the hearts of the humanoids, a quiet determination grew. They would rebuild, learn, and strengthen themselves. The city might have been hidden, but now its spirit shone brighter than ever. The intruders had underestimated them, but cleverness, courage, and unity had proven stronger than advanced technology and force. Leela looked around at the valley, at her people safe and alive, and felt hope for the future. The journey had been long and dangerous, but it had shown what the humanoids could achieve when they worked together. They had escaped the shadows, and now a new beginning awaited them, full of possibilities, safety, and the promise of a thriving community. The hidden city might have been left behind, but its spirit lived on in the humanoids. They were clever, brave, and united. They had survived the darkness and the intruders. Now, in the light of a new valley, they would grow stronger than ever before. The story of the humanoids' escape would be remembered for generations, a tale of courage, cleverness, and hope. And Leela, the scout who became a leader, stood proud among her people, knowing that their survival was only the beginning of a brighter future.